you just can't switch off from work.
Yep.
So in the past, if I'm working, if I'm not working, I'm constantly thinking about work. So even if I get like 12 hours of sleep, I'm still tired.
I was talking to my accounting friend.
Mhm.
We were talking about like the overworking culture in Singapore, and she herself was saying that like sometimes she doesn't think it's a bad thing to overwork, but at the same time it's not healthy. It's not healthy to do it all the time. So there needs to be a fine balance. If you overwork perhaps until like maybe 7, 8 p.m. or even stretched over 9 p.m., 10 p.m. in office, next day just come in later. Or like any kind of like maybe how to say, like anything that causes you to feel like you're very heavy in the head because perhaps from like social anxiety or like maybe from your circle or even from work. So that is mental stress. So a lot of studies have been done about mental stress, and I think it's a very important topic to talk about. Mental health is very important, but it's so huge, so today we're going to be focusing on different types of stress, and one of them is mental stress. So like a study in 2022, right, last year, actually showed that like 85% of Singaporean workers are suffering from burnout. Burnout is a kind of lack of mental rest.
True.
Because you burn out, you are literally burning your rest away. Just stress.
Like oil.
Yeah, like really, because like 1 in 5 Singaporeans stated that like they feel very energized at work. So what is burnout? Burnout is to me, because I actually read about it, is when you feel like you have no motivation to do work. You wake up every day feeling very unmotivated. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to go to work. And then when you head off to work, you feel very not motivated. Your mood is down. You are like constantly feeling sad. You are like, you only see the cons of the work. You don't see the pros anymore.
Yep.
That is burnout. So have you suffered from burnout before?
I do. Throughout the course of my working experience, there are several stages where I felt burnt out. Yeah. Earlier on, when I first started out, especially as a preschool teacher, I at one point was working from Monday to Sunday.
Oh, 7 days per week? Are you serious?
No, only
Wow.
7 days per week. The center opens from 7 to 7. So even though you have shift work, that doesn't mean you leave on time.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
So,
wow.
Okay, so one of the recent places that I work with, we do have internal events, and then we have like external events.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, you have an internal event on a Saturday, then it proceeded with an external event on a Sunday.
Oh goodness.
And then after that, Monday is a working day, 7 to 7 again. And being a preschool teacher in Singapore, especially, I have mad respect for teachers who still stay in the field, because it's getting more and more, I would say, difficult to get by.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So during that period when I feel like, okay, I'm stuck in a rut, I don't like this lifestyle, I'm not doing it for the passion anymore. So one of the best things to do is leave the industry.
Yep, like
when you're burnt out, before you injure yourself or put someone else in danger, right? It's best to take care of yourself first.
Yeah. I get it though. I feel like burnout is a huge thing that is. It's not trend. It's not a trend. I don't want it to be a trend, but I feel like it's getting more and more prevalent. Very, very common these days, I would say. And the sad thing about burnout is that some people just can't leave the industry.
True.
Yeah, it's like there's like a vicious cycle that they are in, So like my friend, she is working in this I don't know what is this. It's like a cafe, but they also have other like forms of retail.
Okay.
So that's what they do, and she's working there. So she's handling multiple job roles at the same time. It's truly a one-woman show, and she is very clearly burnt out. Like she doesn't tell us anything. All she needs to do is to describe it to us, and we can physically see her looking so down. Like she has the energy. Physically, she's like, like she can work so many hours a day, but then you see her, like, because I've actually went to visit her at work once, and it was a situation where I actually reached before her, So I was just at a cafe doing some work. And then when she came in, she was like smiling at me, like, hi, how are you doing? But the moment she had to get to work, her frown was so obvious. Yeah. It's like she just suddenly like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this anymore.
no.
Yeah, and you can tell like she is very very sian like for listeners out there, sian means like you really have no motivation,
Right.
very tired, very very drained. Yeah, so not only is it causing mental stress on her, it also resulted in physical how to say deterioration in her health. You can see the eye bags, you can tell like she's not getting enough sleep, she's not taking some time away from herself, so they're all interlinked. And because of that, right, she is finding it very hard to get out of her job because she needs the money. But then because she is so overworked, she cannot find the time to look for another job.
Oh, that's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, so all of us have been telling her like, you send us your resume, we help you find. Like, tell us what you want, we help you find. She's like, okay, I'll do my resume. Poor girl doesn't even have time to do her resume. And we're like, we do it for you. We
just
do
tell
for you.
us what's your experience.
Just send your picture. Just give us an email. Give us your experiences. We'll do it for you. Yeah. So like it's so hard for her. Like she has been. It's been a long time since I talked to her because she's been so busy. But the last I checked with her, she is in this vicious cycle, and unfortunately, it's so hard for her to get out of it. Yeah. So mental stress, very very hard. And I don't know. Maybe there is some way we could, like prevent burnout. I don't want people to. I mean, there's always a way to get out of burnout, but if there's a way we can prevent burnout, I think that's even more important. And while we are at it, we should practice it. So, what do you think are some ways that we could do to prevent burnout or address burnout?
Okay, so like burnout might mean different thing to different people, right?
Yeah.
So they have different threshold as well.
Yes.
So before we reach that threshold, I think it's a good thing to have a mental checklist at least.
Okay.
Recognize when your body, especially the first few things, you realize your body starts to break down more often.
Yeah.
By breaking down, I mean you get more sick physically, and then after that, if you feel like you get nervous, anxiety in your body, okay, then there are some telltale signs that you're probably heading towards burnout. And then once you realize the warning signs, it's best to take a break, a breather. So like sometimes I guess, like you mentioned just now, art therapy helps.
Yeah, it does.
It helps to regulate your feeling. For me, I also feel the same way. I enjoy painting. So if I could take like maybe half an hour off, just not splash painting. Or just, because
that's a therapy.
Yeah.
There's a shop that does that you can go there and smash things.
That's true as well. If that is therapy, you let out your anger and frustrations. Oh, the rage room.
Oh yeah,
I remember
rage
that's
room,
one.
right.
Yeah, and then there's the X throwing as well.
Oh yeah, that one is
Yeah.
scary though. Like what if the X flings backward instead? That's scary. What?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So if we can take some time to actually do something that helps to regulate our emotion, that'll be great. But if let's say we don't have 15-30 minutes, right? I've seen from somewhere, somebody was asking a similar question. They are having anxiety, and then after that, how can we combat this and move off from here? Then they say, okay, write your emotions in paper, cancel the things that you cannot control, and crush the paper and throw it. So that means that you realize, there's certain things that are beyond your control. There's only a certain there's only a limit to what you can actually do.
Yeah. Wow.
So if let's say that helps with anxiety, then that's great for you. For those people who are like your friend, I guess 10 to 15 minutes worth of meditation helps.
Meditation? Okay. Yeah.
Just breathing techniques. I've heard from somewhere, breathing techniques helps to regulate the mind as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Breathing techniques.
Makes you feel zen.
Zen is...
Once you're zen, everything else will work out.
Ah,
hopefully.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. I think that's important though. It's like to have a mental check-in. Because sometimes we don't even know we're burnt out.
Yeah.
Until someone actually tells you you're
Are
burnt
you
out.
okay?
Like you sound like you're burnt out.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I heard. And then I
Okay.
eventually realized, oh, so this is what burnout feels like. Yeah, because very early on, I didn't know that was burnout. I just tell people I don't want to go work. I
Is
don't
is
want
that
to.
something that you personally experienced as well, burnout?
Yeah, so it's not work related.
Okay.
It's like school related. So back then when I was still an undergraduate, I actually I don't know if it's a thing, but I suffered from is that called social burnout? I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a thing.
Mhm.
So social burnout, I suffer from that,
Mhm.
where I just kind of want to have time for myself. But at the same time, I feel like if I took the opportunity to get away from my friends, I'll feel bad.
Mhm.
Like they might take it the wrong way. Like, why is she not talking to us? Did we do something wrong? But no, I guess I think I would say I was wrapped in a situation where I was a middleman
Right.
for something, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I could always, as the middleman, it's a very important job to deal with the situation for both parties. But I found it very overwhelming,
Right.
and it was to the point where I did not want to meet either parties. I found myself like feeling very dreadful. I didn't want to see them, but it's not like I don't like them. I just didn't like where I was put in. So I felt like it was eating into my not soul lah. It sounds like I felt like it was just like wow, deep, right? No, not so, guys. I
Okay.
felt like it was eating into my my energy levels.
Right.
It was making me feeling very pessimistic about everything. Like I feel like okay, I could do this, but if I do this, it might affect this and that, and then it kind of like spiral, and then I started to think very, very negatively about a lot of things. Yeah, and that was when I realized, oh shit, it's burnout, but it's not work burnout. It's another kind of burnout. Like
Okay.
yeah, so I actually did this thing where I told them about it. So I took a step back. I told them, guys, I'm so sorry. I know that like you guys are in this situation. I know that I have to deal with it, but right now I need some time for myself. Yeah, I it felt like at that point in time, right, it sounded super heartless. Like they're like, what is that? You know,
Okay.
like hey, what are we doing this? And then you come and like take time off for yourself. But then yeah, I just needed that 1-2 days to think. So what I did was I actually cut myself off from the world.
You went off grid.
I went off grid. Yeah. So I was like I didn't want to go out.
Okay.
I was just like I didn't go on social media. I didn't go onto my chat apps. I only talked to like important people like my family. Yeah, and it gave me enough time to sit down, to calm myself down, and to think about like, because sometimes like when it comes to burnout, right, you have to leave the situation to get away from the situation to feel better. Yeah, so that was how I dealt with it. Eventually I got to calm down, and then I took things slowly, one by one. I did not deal with it entirely. I just came back in and I slowly approached the situation
Right.
with a clear mind. I think that's very important, because when you're burnt out, sometimes it affects your thinking, and that's lack of mental stress as well. So I took the mental stress to pick myself up again.
Okay.
Yeah, that was then. Everything good now.
Yeah, I think that's great, to actually excuse yourself from the situation that's causing you a lot of stress instead of just chonging through it. Yeah, you recognize that you needed some time to recalibrate, to make sure your brain, and I mean your mind is
Your brain, literally.
yeah, your brain is all right. And then after that, reevaluate the situations and move on from there. That's great. I guess it's applicable to a lot of situations as well, be it personal or work related, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next segment.
Okay, sure.
Emotional rest, emotional stress. I think it overlaps a lot with mental rest and stress. Any thoughts on it?
Oh, it is though. Actually, honestly, I did not know that emotional rest is a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I always thought it was just physical
Mm-hmm.
and mental.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like what you said, emotional and mental are quite similar. So I'll say they are kind of on par, right? So because I don't really know much about it, so I went to like do a bit of digging to understand a little bit better about like whether emotional rest is a thing. And it is, because like according to like Today, the newspaper article, right, approximately 33% of Singaporean adolescents experience mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and loneliness. However, only 10% of parents can recognize clinical mental health symptoms in their children. And then, like, I don't know, like maybe it's a thing, like you can't really see whether you have emotional stress or not. Like, because
Right.
emotions is like you're happy, you're sad,
Mm.
and things like that. But like whether we truly like, are able to express it is another thing. So I don't know. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. Maybe it's something that it needs to be observed to understand a little bit better.
Yeah, like I have difficulty trying to tell apart emotional and also mental stress and how to go about the resting part for this.
Mm.
But I guess like it's alarming to know that young children are also being affected by this,
Yeah.
especially for those who have difficulty trying to explain yourself. What if you're an introvert and then you're suffering from emotional stress?
Mm.
Then how do you articulate it out to get help,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah.
Very hard to express your feelings sometimes.
Mm.
You cannot put it in words for some reason.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Um, I guess knowing that depression is also a form of emotional stress, we should be more wary and take precautions.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that we don't get depressed.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know that there are different types of depression?
They are? Really?
Yeah, they are the major. I can't remember the major depression, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And there's a new term that I've learned recently, which is called dysthymia.
This time here? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's persistent chronic stress.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
like the how should I put it? It's not as heavy as the major one,
Mm-hmm.
but you still persistently get stressed and depressed.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I realized that now with the government putting a lot of initiatives at place, right, for people to reach out to get more mental awareness and to get to reach out if let's say they are in any emotional or mental distress.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be great if we actually read through the resources that was given.
Mm.
Because emotional and mental stress is such a fine line, it's very difficult to actually tell them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I guess anything that is related to your emotion and your mental or even physical per se, it's best to like check in with someone.
Yeah. Or journaling. I think journaling is very useful.
True.
I do journaling nowadays, ever since our last episode with Matt talking about mental health and journaling, right? I tried journaling. I don't write it down. I
Okay. You typed it?
I voice record.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I voice record, so
Okay.
my memory space is full. But yeah, I actually voice record, and I feel like there's a beauty about voice recording. Writing down is one thing per se. I think some people enjoy writing it down because they don't want to talk about it. But I feel like when I talk about it, it comes out easier, and it kind of shows like how I'm actually feeling
Nice.
because of the tone of my voice or the words that I
Right.
use. Yeah. And maybe future Michelle, when she looks back at it, she'll be like, this girl must have gone through so much. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, so mental stress, mental rest, emotional rest.
Okay, anyways, right, sorry to cut you there. But then I feel like on the topic of journaling, I think it's very important to not only highlight how you're feeling, but also like take note of those negative feelings that has been poured
Yes.
out. And then over time to actually realize whether those negative feelings are like reduced.
Yes.
Yeah. So if let's say you started journaling as a way to combat emotional stress or whatever it is, and then you realize that you are feeling a lot more negative lately, then maybe it's time to actually reach out to someone, a professional
Yeah.
or I don't know, someone basically to actually help you along the way. And if you realize that your negative feelings have reduced, then probably you're on the right track.
I agree. Because when I was journaling, right, I have ups and downs. So I kind of like I don't really look back at my journal entries. So I don't really pay attention to like whether there's a change in my tone, whether I'm feeling better or not. But when I am actively talking about it, I somehow will be very wary about like how I'm sounding, and that kind of like gives me a daily check-in about, okay, I'm feeling this today, whether I'll feel the same tomorrow. Yeah. So it's like it's not a trend that I'm looking out for, but it's more of like a daily thing. Like, okay, I'm feeling this today, and tomorrow if I'm feeling the same thing again, perhaps I should talk to someone about it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's emotional stress for everyone.
Yeah, I guess we also need to prioritize more on emotional rest.
Expressing our feelings, I think is very important as well. Sometimes when we don't talk about how we're feeling, right, people won't know. And it could be very disadvantageous when you keep your feelings to yourself, especially when they're negative. I think it's always important to at least share it somehow. It does not have to be with a person. It can be with maybe a book. You write it down, or it could be in the form of like me, like a voice recording, so that like future me will look back at it or things like that. Yeah, and it's also to help you to have a check-in. I think it's very, very important.
Yep. It has been a very insightful look
Yeah.
at everything. We've actually like touched a lot of topics today. We've come up with a lot of practical tips today as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything that is very significant to you any takeaways that you have?
Wow, I really like the idea of trying hot yoga, not gonna lie. But I don't
Okay.
like the idea of sweating while doing yoga.
Right.
So that's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I that jokes aside, that's not a joke by the way. I really want to try.
Okay.
But there are
nice.
fun things aside, right? I feel like I'm glad that we are able to share like some tips, some ideas that we have
That worked for us, right?
yeah, and I think like thanks to this podcast episode, I got to know the different types of rest, especially for emotional rest. I don't think it's something that people are aware exist. So I'm glad that we got to talk about it, get a better understanding, and also talk about things like burnout. I think it's a
Right.
thing that is here. It's that if there's a way to prevent it, hopefully if anyone has any more suggestions, feel free to leave it in the comments.
Definitely,
Share it
yeah.
online. I think it's very, very good. And here's another disclaimer before we end of the episode. We are not professionals. This is purely based on our own experiences.
Yes.
Yeah, of us who have burnt out or like lack of rest connoisseurs. Thanks to TikTok. No, I'm just kidding. I love TikTok, guys.
I love it too, yeah.
Use it in moderation. Not before big time. Yeah.
True.
I don't know. What about you, Afia?
I think the entire takeaway from this episode is basically creating a safe space where we can actually talk about how we feel. I think having that conversation is the first step to finding the right resource or help per se. So like there's a lot of things that you shared earlier, like what do you call that? Work-life balance with people on but working from Perth, and then like the mental health checklist, your audio recording of your journals as well. Okay, that is very novel. I think that is it's kind of like listening to your own audiobook, and then you get to see how much you mature throughout the years, that kind of thing. So yeah, very practical tips I think will be helpful for everyone as well.
Yeah. So I guess moving forward, you guys can practice this. I think it's very important to always be very self-aware that you're getting ample rest, whether is it mental, physical, or emotional. Yeah. So it's coming to the end of 2023. Maybe your 2024 resolution could be to get ample of rest, something simple like that. It doesn't have to be like, I need to earn big bucks or I need to travel around the world. You can do that as a form of rest.
Yes.
But that being said, also always be mindful of yourself. Do a check-in with yourself every day. Maybe a big stretch in the morning and maybe rest at night. Maybe check in with your friends as well. Sometimes they don't check in on themselves. You need to be the one to check in on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that being said, we'd like to thank you for listening to our podcast episode on whether we get enough rest, what are the different types of rest. And it is a very, very well concluded 2023. We hope 2024 will be one full of rest for everyone out there, our viewers and our users and our listeners. And we will see you next time. I'm Michelle.
I'm Afia.
Bye.